Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Boakai, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah, 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 yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey. In diaspora. Current affairs. Hey. Reliable information. History. Ooh. Talking about culture. Yeah. Politics. Education. Entertainment. Yeah. Business. Sports. Advertisement. Articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Ja.
And I am Anthony C. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. A pleasant welcome, by the way. Today is yet another edition of the Hour of Politics with me, always your host. Do us that usual favor, share the broadcast with your contacts, somebody that you like to join you in watching this presentation. And I can't thank you enough for joining us. Focus on Liberia is where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We have a new administration. The Josiah Yeman Boakai administration is taking shape gradually. There's so much hope a lot of Liberians have put into this administration or in this administration. And so we all are wishing that the administration will succeed. Today's edition is on the topic, the beginning of the Boakai administration. So Josiah Yeman Boakai got elected, and prior to the Boakai election, we know that Josiah Yeman Boakai ran on experience. And so the expectation now is that we're going to see experience brought to governance, and so that the dividends of experience will be accrued by the nation Liberia and its people. The Josiah Yeman Boakai administration also ran on the urgency to rescue Liberia. And so they created the expectation that the nation is in dire need of a rescue operation. And so the expectation also has been created for us to be rescued, that they will govern with the understanding that there are serious governance issues that are at stake, and that they will act boldly and that they will act swiftly to be able to rescue these issues that we are facing, that they will be able to resolve these challenges that we are facing as a country. And so don't forget, they ran on experience. We want to see experience brought to bear. They ran on the urgency for the nation to be rescued. So we want to see that they are acting and governing and taking steps and introducing policies that are intended to rescue us, to rescue the educational system, to rescue the healthcare system, to rescue all the sectors that are facing all the challenges in the country, so that Liberia can get in a very good place. Let us also understand that the Unity Party condemned corruption, and when they were campaigning, they also ran on the promise to fight corruption. So the expectation has also been created that upon coming to power, this administration will fight corruption, and that individuals will not engage in any acts of corruption because they were against corruption. So it is a very good message to run on, because we can all agree corruption has been the devil in the room. Corruption has undermined the developmental needs of Liberia. Corruption has prevented us from providing basic social services. Individuals lining their pockets and they using money intended to improve the material conditions of the poor, and now landing in the pockets of individuals has been a very terrible thing. It has been a practice that has been here for so long. And so for the Boakai campaign team then to have run on this message of fighting corruption, making the promise that they will fight corruption, and condemning corruption as they saw and observed it under the previous administration of George Manawia. It was excellent for them to have come with that message. It was a message that was welcomed by all Liberians. So the expectation now has been created, and we are looking forward to the new administration that they will do their best to fight corruption, to hold individuals accountable who will attempt to engage in acts of corruption, that they will not stop at any length but to go after individuals who will try to abuse public trust, because they were loud. And we have agreed, all Liberians have agreed, I want to believe, that, the abuse of public trust was seen in the previous administration. And so that is one of the reasons one can argue that the Unity Party, especially with Joseph Boakai, on the message of experience, on the message of competence, on the message of fighting corruption, they won the election. And so we really want to see the fight against corruption being carried out by this administration. That is our hope, and we hope that this administration is going to do so, and they are not going to let the Liberian people down, because there's so much hope. Many people came to the Unity Party. Many people came to the rescue of the Unity Party. People contributed money. People went in the trenches. People printed their own teachers. People were not happy with the CDC administration, so they wanted to see a change of government. And for them, the one who had made sense to them, the one who was well positioned, who was suitable for the job, was this experienced candidate, Joseph Boakai, who has served in government, some say over 40 years, some say over 25 years. And so he was well suited. He been in the game of politics, he served. And so he has the deep understanding of what to do on day one. And with that experience, Liberian felt that that was the way to go. And so we want our experience to be executed when it comes to fighting corruption, when it comes to governance. That's the expectation that we have right now, and we are hoping that the new administration will follow suit on that. So talking about this promise to fight corruption, can we say now that we want to see the new administration starting with this alleged misappropriation of the $5,000 intended for the inaugural celebration of each of the 73 districts in Liberia, I think it will be a fair thing. So this is an opportunity now that has been presented to the new administration, to our new president, who promised to fight corruption. We are hoping that the fight for corruption, they promise also audit, that the audit will start with that, because in the judgment of the president now, Joseph Imam Boakai, when he was then president-elect, he said, look, for the inauguration, we want to diversify. We want the people in the counties to participate in the celebration. And so the judgment was that, okay, we will make $5,000 available for each electoral district in Liberia, so that the citizens in those districts will have the opportunity to celebrate, to participate in the inauguration process, because they are the one who made us to be elected. And so we cannot leave them out. That was the judgment of the president-elect then. And it was hailed by many people. But then there was some criticism there too, though, because the president-elect had made, the president-elect then had made this pronouncement when he had invited some member of the legislature and to talk to them to vote for his choice for speaker, Representative Richard Kuhn. That was when we were told by Mo Ali, made the promise that, well, 5,000 United States dollars would be provided. And at that time, according to Mo Ali, it was intended to be given to the representatives so that they would take it to their respective districts for them to celebrate. Now, in no time, when the money was made available, there are few things that are not clear about the money anyway. First, we don't know the source of the money, but Front Page has reported that now President Boakai, or then President-elect Joseph Imam Boakai, was the one who raised the $365,000 for all the 73 electoral districts. That was what Front Page is reporting. Unity Party as a political institution is yet to come and clear the air whether or not what Front Page is reporting is true, that the money came from then President-elect Joseph Boakai. So we want Unity Party to come clear on that. And from what Mo Ali said, we also know that the money was intended for the districts. So if we're intended for the district, one might think that what issue have been given to the district leadership, but then it did not happen. And later on, we realized that the money was given to Unity Party, the political party. Unity Party took delivery of the money, and the Unity Party was in charge to take the funds to the electoral district. So the money was intended for the district leadership for the celebration. Fire was supposed to be the representative. It didn't go to the representative. And now it should have gone to the district. It didn't go to the district directly. It landed in the hands of Unity Party. Now, Unity Party released a press statement in which it said that, yes, acknowledge that they took delivery of the money, but they have deducted $1,000 from each of the $5,000, all right, for it to be used by its auxiliaries and party headquarters or party leadership for them to also participate in the inauguration or celebration. So should the Unity Party have taken $1,000 on each of the 5,000 intended for each electoral district in the first place? Was the money even intended for Unity Party? How did the money leave representative, now county leadership, district leadership, and now in the hands of Unity Party? Now, as we speak, it's not clear whether some counties have even received money, let alone the districts, the electoral districts for whom the money, the funds were intended anyway. We don't know. So there's so much confusion. There's no clarity on this money as we speak. Now, there was other information that the $365,000 has come from the $650,000 that was made available for the entire inauguration process. That was the budget, $650,000 United States dollars. there was some information that the 365,000 intended for the district celebration has come from that money. As we speak, no clarity. So we are saying this because Unity Party ran on experience. Unity Party ran on competence. Unity Party condemned the CDC for not being competent. And so we wanted to see the experience to be displayed. And that's what we are expecting. And we will not take any other explanation right now other than the competence, the experience that we were promised. The government, the Unity Party, was voted on the message of competence, on the message of experience, and and that's what we expect. And also that they will fight corruption. So this misappropriation of this money, if you look at it, it's almost like it's a true story. That's how it looks like. Because the Unity Party is now denying that it did not take some of the money for its party celebration, when in fact the money was not intended for the party celebration. The Unity Party said that in its press conference. Now, the head of the inaugural Entemiata formula, can also give clear-cut explanation who received the money and who was in charge of the money and who, expended the money. At some point she said, she was not in charge of the money. But then at some point she said, one Chris Wallow was giving 60,000 United States dollar for celebration. But then the Chris Wallow guy said he only received 10,000. Come to think about it. So Miata is saying, well, I didn't have anything to do with the money aspect of it. But then she is saying Chris Wallow was giving $60,000 for entertainment. So it said that she was told by those who were in charge of spending the money, and that's why she's providing the information. If she was not in charge of spending the money, why is she the one providing that information? So why is Chris Wallow also saying that, well, I only received 10,000 of the 60,000? What happened to the 40,000 that in between? We are providing, what's happening right now because we want to see experience. We want to see competence. We want to see accountability. These are the things that the Unity Party ran on that it will provide. And these are the things that we expect. These are the things that were promised us as a people. And so those things are good things when we agree with the Unity Party. A government must be competent. A government must be qualified or must have qualified individuals. A government must fight corruption. A government must hold people accountable. A government should not abuse public trust. And that's what we expect now, because that's what the Unity Party promised us. And so while it is true that the Unity Party is forming its government, we hope and we want to see, as it forms, they are forming the government on competence, on experience, on accountability, on transparency. These are the elements that we want to see displayed and exhibited at every level. Now, Mr. Boakai, our now president, also said, and I quote, that he will always choose somebody who reflects his values. And he also promised us that he will appoint qualified people. Beautiful. Excellent. I mean, if you are a father and you have values that are cherished by many that you believe are good for the family? Wouldn't you want your children to abide by those values? Wouldn't you want to imbue those values or instill those values in your children so that when they go out, they can become a perfect representation of your image and your name? Beautiful. We are all for that. So that is excellent. And so then we saw then Kennedy Boakai chose Jeremiah Kuhn as his vice president. And so the question then was, how did Jeremiah Kuhn reflect the values of Joseph Boakai? What is Jeremiah Kuhn's record? Joseph Boakai is an experienced man. How much of an experience does Jeremiah Kuhn possess? How competent is Jeremiah Kuhn to have been selected as a vice president? So we are saying this because competence has been promised, and we want to see competence, we want to see experience, we want to see accountability, and we want to see transparency. We want to see audit that they also promise at every level. So is Jeremiah Kuhn a true reflection of Joseph Boakai based on his record? A senator who was in Ways and Means, and what is his record? Do we know? Is his record in line with Joseph Boakai? Does he have a good name? Is he the kind of man you can count on as an able lieutenant to Joseph Boakai to fight corruption? Will he be able to implement the policies of the Unity Party of Joseph Boakai? So, and Joseph Boakai also promised that he will govern differently. That's another big promise that was made. He will govern differently. So I'm sure by differently, it's obvious the CDC was governing in the way that many were not satisfied with, that Joseph Boakai himself had complained about consistently. The Unity Party had complained about the way the CDC conducted governance, and that the CDC was corrupt, and that the CDC was incompetent, and that they have unqualified individuals, that they didn't know what they were doing, that they were having celebration every now and then, and that they were doing things, in not the traditional way. They were not even conventional. The way they handled governance was completely out of order and all that. So we are expecting now to see that Joseph Boakai is governing differently. For example, they had issue with the individuals who we are appointed. Some of them were not that qualified, they didn't have the experience, and so on and so forth. So let me first of all conclude on the issue of the audit. So with the way the 5,000 or the total amount of 365,000 intended for district celebration just ended, maybe it's about time that President Boakai now he takes that serious, and that the entire inaugural committee is audited, the way they spend the money, and in fact, Unity Party went to work and said that, look, the money that they gave to their party, coordinators or heads, they are demanding report from them. First, they should not have taken money, in mind, one would think, because the money was not intended for the party anyway. But the party said it had a discussion or a meeting, and it made that decision. So now they are saying, now they made a decision to take $1,000 from each district for their own celebration. They are demanding report. But we know, Focus on Liberia reported in District Number 9, where one of the coordinators there was giving the money, and the Secretary General said the man has eaten what you call money for pool watchers, and so they had complained to the leadership that man should not have been given money, but the money was given to the man anyway. They accused the man of tampering with the money. So we don't know whether these funds were spent, because some counties are saying they have not received money. In Nimba County, some people say, some people tamper with the money here and there. So that will require accountability. That will require an audit. That will require an investigation. Investigation, audit, transparency, accountability are the things the Unity Party promised, are the things the president promised. So we want the president to use this opportunity now to set an example, to set the tone that, look, when I said we will audit, when I said we'll investigate when necessary, when I said that, we will be accountable, we'll be transparent, that we'll fight corruption, I meant it. And so I'm starting here. That is an opportunity that is before the president, and it's not only the president, the Unity Party leadership that criticized the CDC, that condemned the CDC. This is the time for them to show that the individual they gave the money, they should not just go beyond just mere report, that there is accountability, there's audit, there's investigation for us to know what happened to the 365,000 that was given as reported by then Kennedy Boakai, or President-elect Boakai. We want to be clear on that. So if the Unity Party should do that, that would be a good start, and we don't expect anything else other than that. Now, let's talk about the promise of nominating or appointing qualified people. President Boakai now has started appointing individuals or nominating individuals to the Senate for confirmation, or appointing individuals in his government. What do you make of the caliber of people President Boakai has nominated so far? Well, as we see, one thing we see for the most part is that the individuals being appointed, majority of them seems to have the requisite academic credentials. They have the requisite academic credentials. There are some, given their role in previous administrations or administrative places they've worked, it's fair to say some of them have experience. For example, Samuel Kofi Woods, he was Minister of Labor before he served in the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. He been around. One would think he's qualified and had an experience. I understand he's an attorney at law. Another person who people think has some competence and have administrative experience is Sarah Besloyanti, nominated for Minister of Foreign Affairs, even though there's a major issue now against her character that, her credentials are not correct. Some people said that she says she have degrees that she really does not have. So there's a little, serious trouble going on there. We wait to see how it will end. But what we know is Sarah Besloyanti served as head of mission for the United Nations in one African country. I can't remember exactly the country now. At some point, she will be recognized for, excellent leadership by Pope Francis. And I also learned that she worked in Liberia before, if not at a ministerial level, but at an administrative level, she served there before. So this is a woman who has served at the level of the United Nations, and she's been doing a lot of work. So in terms of competence for her to have gone through the ranks of leadership, not only in Liberia, but also at the United Nations level, she has some competence. But again, we cannot dismiss the allegation now against her that she doesn't have some of the credentials she claimed to have. It's a serious issue, and we can only wait to see how that will play out. So, but one thing I will say though, not because some people have not served in, let's say, ministerial level or director level, does not mean that they can deliver. Some people are innovative. Some people will find a way to know what to do. They will seek all the necessary counsel, how for them to be effective at their job. So you can say because the person have not served before, that person does not make a good fit. Now, on the other hand, somebody may have the academic credentials, but the person may not be able to display competence maybe the person is placed in a place, or appointed to a place where they are not suitable enough. So what we want to see now is that not only experience, and not only that the individual should not be corrupt, we also want to see that, because not being corrupt, not taking what is not for you, it's not enough. That's something you shouldn't have done in the first place. So that should not even be a debate. But sadly, it has been a debate, right? Because when you are nominated, or when you are, appointed to a position, or when you are offered a job, your responsibility there is to execute the duties and functions of that job in an effective manner, so that it leads to productivity, so that it advances the interest of that institution that you are working for. That is what is expected. And that you will bring in innovation, all right, new ways of making the services effective. In the case of government, the provision of the service that you are providing, or, if not a service, and then the products that you are offering, how to provide the products that, they are done in an effective way. If people are having a hard time in getting these things, you find a way to make it easier. That's what we expect. For example, one of the appointees, so much good being said about, is one Double Jala, who I don't know personally, or we don't know personally. But people in the Liberian population should know these individuals. A lot have been said about him. That he's a good person, he has a good character. Is that enough? Because this man, what being said about him can be exhibited. He can go to the place where he's being appointed. I understand he's being appointed to the Liberian Revenue Authority, and he can be there and not abuse his power or trust. But not abusing trust, is that enough? How much money are we raising as a country right now? Our budgets have been around 500 to 400 million. Don't believe that things, sometimes the CDC government, but we raise the budget to 800 million. By the time budget shortfall after budget shortfall finish hitting in, when the actuals come in, that whole thing can decline to 500 to 400 million dollars. So our budget has been hovering around 400 to 500 to 560 and 80 million dollars. This is a country, it's huge. We have so much needs. We have so much needs. 500 million is a drop in the bucket. 500 million is not even enough for us to run an effective airport. An international airport, Rabat International Airport, should be a hub in Africa. Because from New York, from Atlanta, there is about 10 to 11 hours. And Liberia is uniquely situated in West Africa. It connects easily to all the West African countries. And Liberia, if you look at the map, of Liberia, you see that from Liberia straight, you cross the Atlantic Ocean, you are in the US. I work in the airline industry, so I know a little bit about, the routes. So Liberia is united in a position. So $500 million can be a little good amount of money to invest at the airport, Rabat International Airport, to bring it up to standard. And so that Liberia can be able to accrue the necessary dividend for us to start making millions from just running that airport alone. But that's for another day. The point I was making is $500 million is a drop in the bucket. So Double Jala, for example, being a good man, people believe, would not do anything, that is unexpected in terms of abusing public trust. It's not enough. Can he innovate for us to now start, raising up to $1 billion in revenue? Then that is innovation, because it will take innovation. meaning finding additional sources of revenue, meaning closing all the loopholes so that our bucket that we're using to collect revenue is not leaking. Bringing technology, introducing new forms of technology where people are paying their bills or paying for government services online through websites so that the money, the funds are going directly into government consolidated accounts. That, you're not giving cash to somebody sitting behind the desk. And after you finish paying for that service, by the time you turn your back, that person takes that money and put it in their pocket. So that's money that should have gone to the government account, but it's living in individuals' pocket. Another example I want to give is that at some point during, the heat of COVID, Liberians and all other nationals entering the Rabat International Airport, they had to pay $75 to enter Liberia for COVID test. And then when you are leaving, or if you are leaving, you will pay another $75. Sorry, $75. That's 150 United States dollars. Imagine the number of people that were traveling. It was reported that Liberia raised, several $1 million there. But the money, the cash money, was given to individuals. Some of the money placed in individual hands. And that at some point during, an entire business day, the money will be placed in like a pickup truck and taken somewhere. Now, assuming that story is true, which is likely though, right? To whom, where are they taking the money? Who is following to see that that money is taken to the bank directly and placed into government consolidated account? Who is the individual taking the money? Is that money, that person trusted enough to deliver the money and deposit it in government account? We are humans. That person might be tempted and take some of the money. Maybe the two individuals calling, they agree, say, oh, let's do this and take some. No one there to see them. Government has been defrauded funds right there. And so all that has been limiting the amount of money that we can collect. So just having that, character to not take what not for you when you are serving in government is not enough. We want those who are appointed to find innovative ways of making government effective. That is what we want to see. So, because President Boakai now has done his part, we believe most of the people he appointed, they are qualified, they have experience. You and myself may not know all about them. And we can also assume that they are all clean people. In politics, people come around you, they support you, people with competing interests. At the end of the day, some people have been nominated that some individual knows some things about that we don't know as people, right? Was any background check done on these individuals? Did they look at the records of these individuals? Have they looked at their work history, before considering them for these appointments? Experience will encourage you to do so. We can maybe assume that was done because this is the experience, Joseph Boakai. This is the experience Unity Party that have governed the country, Liberia, for 12 years before. They've been in the business as appointing individuals, and when we assume doing background check and vetting them to make sure that they are qualified, they have the credentials that they're showing on their CV, that those things are checked, that they cross every T and dot every I before appointing this individual. One might think that, well, could it be the reason why the appointment is a little slow? Are they trying to be meticulous? Are they trying to be thorough so that there will not be mistakes? If they are crossing the T and dotting the I, verifying the credentials, that the individuals are submitting on their resume, how come now we are hearing that there's some issue with Sarah Beslo-Yante credentials? Experience will encourage you to do that. We were promised experience, we were promised competence, we were promised that this is a rescue operation that will hit the ground running. Is the Unity Party administration, the Boakai administration hitting the ground running right now, right away? Is that what you're saying? Well, we know it's a new administration. They need time to do so. Are they going with the urgency that they projected to us, that there's an urgency now to rescue this country? Do we see that? A full display now? Or experience is that, well, be thorough, be careful, double check people, don't rush appointing people. In Liberia, they say horror boss crossing. Is that a situation that we see here? Or is it that there's so many competing interests in the back end, and that's what's causing the delay? What we want to see with all the appointments, nothing short of what we were promised, that they will be qualified, that they will be competent, that they will be individuals who don't have shady characters, because Joseph Boakai said he will nominate somebody or consider somebody who reflect his value. That's what we want to see, and we hope to see that, and that's the only thing we expect. So talking about experience also, and we saw that President Boakai received firefighter supplies from the Firefighter Association chiefs. I think it might be almost like a global organization. And they gave some fire equipment, to the government of Liberia. But these equipment were given to the president or presented to the president directly at his home. Is that experience a full display there? Because Mr. Boakai said he will govern differently. We have the Fire Service Agency. I believe that is the name. And that Fire Service Agency has a director. If a group is in the country, if an organization wants to make a donation to the country in the area of fire service, should they take it to the house of the president, or should they take it to the Fire Service Agency and present it to one of the directors or officials there? Does experience tell you for the president of Liberia to receive fire supplies, fire service supplies at his house, even if it were at the mansion? Is that the appropriate place for it? Is that a full display of experience? Does experience require that if it is in the area of fire service, let the fire service director receive it, or let the presentation be made at the Fire Service Agency? We thought to bring that to see how, that is different from what, because what we saw in the Weah administration, everything was about President Weah's face. During COVID time, they were trying to provide buckets, and for our people, it was Weah project. They built a more mine road. They used the Liberian government money. President Weah's statue was erected. Everything President Weah was on it. They're trying to dedicate, a project in Nikru Town. Nikru Town, for example, has a governor. Nikru Town is a borough. I think it's the only borough in the Republic of Liberia. A borough is almost like a municipality that should have some, administrative, governance, and have a little structure. All right. So when there's a project done by the government or being initiated by the government, the government has a representative in the borough, usually recommended to the president and appointed by the president to represent the government of Liberia. So why can the head of the borough or the governor of the borough be the one to dedicate that project and referencing the president's involvement into that? That's why we saw everything, or almost everything, the president was there. PHP, we saw the president. The VIP launch, we saw the president. Though we have the head of RIA, though we have, so, President Weah was everywhere, dedicating everything. When there are ministers or officials who have supervision in these areas or sectors who could do the job, and the president should be focusing on bigger things. We saw President Weah there. And Mr. Boakai promised that he will govern differently. We are not saying anything is wrong here, but we are just saying the difference that the president now, Mr. Boakai, has promised that he will govern differently. Do we see the difference here with the fire service, supplies or equipment taken to the president's house and then presented to him, and now he will take it now and give it to the fire service director? Should it be that way? What could the president say? Look, you have some fire service supplies for our country. Check with the fire service agency. You can contact that agency, and there are leaders there. They will be able to deliver of that, and you will be recognized appropriately. That could have been done. That, in my opinion, would be a display of competence. It will be a display of also experience, and that will be a way of showing that the president now is governing differently, as he promised. Another way we want to see the president governing differently is the issue of giving money to lawmakers to do certain things. The Allen administration is being accused of introducing what we call brown envelope, giving money to lawmakers for them to vote on a concession agreement, to pass certain bill. And we saw the president, elect then, promising to give 5,000 to lawmakers, for celebration into districts. And now that money there's so much yo-yo around that money. And, many argue that it was a good intention for the citizens in all the districts to be involved. I don't think that it's a bad idea, but you should also understand that wherever you put money, there is this room for corruption, for people to abuse it. Because if you look at Liberia, anytime they do the budget, they allot $200,000 for our counties. And they said that money is for county development. From Ellington to Weah time, only a pitiful $200 for each of our counties for development. What can $200 do to develop a county? Say a county like Mount Grand Crew that has virtually nothing. What can it do? So that money is put into the budget for each county year after year. It has never increased, even though lawmakers' money continue to increase, even though the president budget continue to increase. But that money for the county continue to stay the same amount. The point I'm making is that when the $200,000 is provided in the budget for the counties, the lawmakers of those counties will go after the money. They and the superintendents, they will start talking how to spend the money. That money is intended for the local government. The local government should sign for the money and use the money for the local government. We're talking about decentralization of governance. I think it is with that intent they made that money available. But the representatives or senators will go after the money. Some of them will request some of the money in the need of providing scholarship for students in that county, and sometimes or most times no accountability whatsoever. So one would think that the fact that there have been so much reports about the misappropriation and lack of accountability on the county development funds, maybe it didn't make, it was risky for the president to say, well, let's give 5,000 to each district, because 200,000 yo-yo, and then $5,000, and look at the time. Was the time enough for them to put measure into place to avoid any misappropriation of the funds? Did anybody ask question from the party? Well, can we do this? How can we? Were those questions asked? So, folks, we want to see. Another thing I want to touch on is the first appointment that we saw. We saw that some of the appointment. So we are confused. Sometimes a list comes out, it's in people's chat room, it's on social media. Sometimes it's on a little letterhead, sometimes not on letterhead. And it's that, and who's signing it also, is the person, the appropriate authority to sign. I mean, we want to see a display of competence, of experience, because the party been there. They have appointed people in government. They have 12 years to appoint people. It must be on the appropriate institution letterhead. The person who is legally working and is a legal or signatory should be the one to sign. Is that what we see? That's what we want to see. And when the names are appointed, we want to see experience coming to play, that they are on the executive mansion website right away. I see 3 different appointments are there right now. That is a good thing. We commend that. Do we have all the appointments on the executive mansion website? Because appointments have been made 4 different times now. I tried to double check. I saw 3. Maybe it's somewhere and I'm missing it. And, we want to see that when appointments are made, it should be on the letterhead. If it is the letterhead of the Ministry of Presidential Affairs, or if it is on the e-mansion website, that makes it automatically authentic for people to believe. But if it is only flying on social media, for example, the newly appointed presidential press secretary, the appointment that came out yesterday, she posted it on her Facebook page. I would say there's nothing wrong with posting it on your Facebook page, but as the press secretary, is your personal Facebook page or account the appropriate place to inform the Liberian people? She, as a citizen, as an individual, somebody may argue that she can share it there. But at the time it came out, that was the only place we saw it. That was the only place we saw it. At the time, it was not on the executive mansion website yet. And maybe we miss it here from Focus on Liberia, or I miss it as a guy, responsible for the politics here. Maybe I miss it. I didn't find it on a letterhead signed by her. I believe the executive mansion has its own official Facebook page. I don't think nothing wrong with putting it on the executive mansion official Facebook page, just as it is appropriate to put it on the executive mansion page. But we saw that on her personal page. Should that continue? Is that the appropriate way to do it based on experience and competence and qualification? We want to see experience, in all of these things as they continue to do those things. That's what we want to see. Now, the president also promised during his inaugural speech that in Liberia there will be no business as usual. We welcome that. That is a profound pronouncement from the president. Business as usual in Liberia. Many of you listening to Focus on Liberia now have an idea what that actually means. Business as usual is doing things out of the ordinary, doing things the corrupt way. That is business as usual. And that's what we know it to be. The president said there will be no business as usual. There will be no government money in the pockets of individuals. We will not stay by for somebody to abuse property trust and we don't hold them accountable. So, folks, we do not want to see business as usual. Business as usual is when a party takes funds and uses it when the funds not intended for that party. In the case of the money intended for inaugural celebration for the Unity Party as a political institution, to see reason, that it would take some of that money for a party celebration, one man thing, it appears or sound like, sounds like business as usual. So it should be curtailed. It should be stopped. It should be investigated. It should not be done. It should be corrected. Now, Another thing that is business as usual is the failure of government officials to now declare their assets and liabilities. The president, when he was president-elect, promised that he would declare his assets. It is day 3 now, according to my countdown. Let me see. Okay, actually 4 days, 5 hours, 31 minutes, and 23 seconds. And we are still counting. He promised that he would declare his assets. Now declaring your assets is business as usual. So 4 days passed now. He promised that he would declare his assets and that he will ensure that those he will appoint into government, will be able to also declare their assets. We want to see that. It's a promise that the president-elect made, and so we want to see that happen, and that would be a good thing to set the tone, to set an example that all those that he's appointing will follow. It's being reported that Senator Darius DeLong declared his asset, and Darius DeLong did not only declare his asset, he make it public, right? He published his asset for Liberians to see. We welcome that. It's a good thing. It is the transparency that is required in governance, in public service. You shouldn't have anything to hide. Now, people might want to debate here and there whether or not Mr. DeLong is honest about it. I don't want to get into that debate, but the law, the Code of Conduct law, require that officials declare their asset, and transparency demands that they make it also public. We are declaring his assets very late, about 7 months into his administration. He was criticized by Unity Party that it was wrong, that he should have declared his assets way ahead of time. He didn't do it. He was criticized. And so we want the Unity Party president, our team president, Joseph Boakai, to declare his asset. And he should not stop that. We want to see it. We want to see what is in it. We want transparency to be shown. And this, I wish the LACC will be able to document the assets being declared by all these government officials, and that it will be on their website for us to see. We are focused on Liberia, also want to see how much our government employees, president, senator, whoever in government, judges, chief justice, associate justices, civil servant directors, all of them, how much money they made should be known to us as a people. Transparency would demand that. Accountability would demand that. And it should be on the website of the civil service agency. We want to know how much the individuals are making. There should be no secret about that. That is one of the things, transparency that the incoming government, the new government promised us would demand, and we hope to see that. Now, another thing the new president, Joseph Boakai, promised is he called on us that we should not only support him, we should not only commend him, that his supporters should not only praise him, but that we should criticize him. He said that in his speech, that he should be criticized, that he should be checkmated. We should check him, we should hold him accountable. And I think that is profound because we are humans. And so we welcome the pronouncement back from the president-elect. And that is why we are doing the presentation, so that all these steps that must be taken, all right, so that the experience that we're promised will produce the dividend, that we deserve as a people. So the president said we should hold him accountable. We should critique him. We should criticize him, in short. He said that. So we are urging all Liberians. It's a welcome pronouncement from the president. So we want to see Unity Party, just as it was robust in criticizing CDC for good reasons. It should criticize its own government. It should hold its own government accountable. It should hold its own government feet to the fire. Supporter of Joseph Boakai. If you didn't hear it in a speech, if you didn't read the speech, I'm telling you, the president said we should critique him, we should criticize him, we should hold him accountable. So do so. We expect that you will honor the call of the president, that we should critique him so that he will succeed, so that your party will succeed, so that our nation will succeed. Let us criticize the government constructively. And let us make suggestions to the government so that our government will succeed. This is what we want. This is what we must do. Another major promise the president made is that no car will get stuck in the mud in 100 days in his administration. A single car will not get stuck in the mud. In other words, all the barrows, all the trouble areas of the roads in Liberia, especially places during the rainy season where we have mud and cars are getting stuck, that will not happen immediately after 100 days of his administration. What a welcoming pronouncement. Many of you have seen pictures on social media of citizens stranded, people, valuables getting left in the mud, people sleeping in the mud and on the roads for days. That has been something so much problem for our country. We cannot easily travel to all parts of the country during the rainy season. So for the president now to promise that that will be history after 100 days is a welcoming, So now, experience now will require that there will be a plan to make that possible. Do we have the plan? Is the plan coming? The fact that we have not been shown or told about that plan, or the fact that that plan has not been introduced to us, we know that it is coming. Because there must be a plan, there must be a budget, there must be a how to prevent cars from getting stuck in the mud 100 days after his administration. So we are just reminding the administration that this is a very good promise that you made. And we expect that you will deliver on that. And we expect to see the plan. We will expect to see the how. And we expect that it will be done in 100 days. So talking about the 100 days, one of the things that we see from previous administration, especially the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, they only had 100 days deliverable. Things that will be accomplished in 100 days so that the government will be able to plant its feet in the ground of governance for the countries to start making progress. So now, Joseph Boakai said, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. That was the very United Party that came to power. They had 100 days deliverables. We want to see 100 day deliverables, what they will do in the first 100 days, and how those things will be done, and how those things will improve the conditions in the country. We are expecting that 100 days deliverable. Now, another thing that was said also during the campaign, there was this argument that Joseph Boakai is the Joe Biden of Liberia. I kind of like that. Joseph, Arab Biden, United States of America. Joseph Yuma Boakai, Republic of Liberia. Joe, America, Joe, Liberia. The two of them are well-experienced individuals who have been in government for the longest. When Joe Biden came, on day one, he signed over 17 or 16 executive orders. Are there things the CDC government did that Joseph Boakai and the Unity Party disagree with? Were there policies and programs introduced that they disagree with that were not effective for Liberia? One would think there will be executive orders that will reverse those policies and programs, or if they agree with everything, fine. Can there be executive orders now in the area of education, in the area of healthcare, in the area of commerce, in the area of importation, those critical areas that are hurting our people? Experience will require that when the government got elected over 2 months ago, they should have been working on the kind of executive orders or programs to introduce. And immediately after inauguration, these policies maybe transform into executive orders. After they've done their work and studies and all that, they will be able to do it. CDC came to power before it started thinking about the PAPD. It took 7 months from January of 2018 to almost July of 2018 was when the CDC rolled out the proper agenda for prosperity and development. 7 months. So CDC was that rookie government. CDC was that rookie political party that didn't have the experience of governance. Unity Party been there for 12 years. Does the Unity Party have a plan right now? I know the Unity Party has the arrest, but has the arrest now been transformed into a governance tool with actionable bullet points, benchmarks, that is accompanied by a budget and a how to get these things done? Do we have that? If we don't have that, when will we get that? Experience will require. And the fact that the government ran on that they are coming to rescue us. If you are coming on a rescue operation, you must be ready with all your tools. Some of you who have seen people going on rescue operation, let's say they're taking a helicopter. The individuals going for the rescue operation, they are already dressed. They have all their tools on them. There is completely nothing lacking because this person is in distress. And when you get there, you really want to, put into motion the rescue operation to take that person from that distress so that this person can be saved. So the fact that this government is on a rescue mission and rescue operation, does it have the rescue plan ready? Because it has started work. Experience will require that. We see that right now. And finally, before I take leave of you, Mr. Boakai said one thing that was profound also. He said you cannot give a man's job to a boy. I repeat that. You cannot give a man's job to a boy. Mr. Boakai was talking about President Weah then. That President Weah was this boy we gave a job that should be done by a man. What a profound statement. What that meant was that the presidency is a serious responsibility. And that it is for a man who thinks and acts and dreams like a man. It's not for somebody who is a boy and still playing. Who have time to stay fool around because they have, that person has, time in their favor. The presidency, according to Joseph Boakai, is a job for a man and not a boy. It's not a job you give to a boy. Joseph Boakai has that job now. Joseph Boakai is the man for the job. He was saying Liberian people have given the job of the presidency to a boy that job is not intended for. And so man makes decision by looking at competing priorities and making critical decisions that will be in the best interest of the nation. And that man will be focusing on the bigger picture. How to improve conditions, how to uplift the country, how to raise the image of the country, how to bring about responsible governance. No time to play, no time for fun. This is serious business, making life and death decisions. The job, in Boakai's words, is not for a boy. It's not a job you give to a boy. So that created the expectation that our president will be able to make decisions and that he will be robust, and that when he appoints individuals, it's not enough. The individuals won't be held accountable. I give you an example here. Here I focus on Liberia. Dennis Jah is our CEO here. He's the head of this media institution. And I am assisting him as his able lieutenant. When I'm doing a show, Dennis is paying attention. After the presentation, we have time to debrief. This is why you did right. This is why you did wrong. This could have been done better. He is holding me accountable. He is providing counsel. He wants me to represent the institution based on the standards we set here, based on the goals and the mission of the institution. So I'm saying it is not enough, will not be enough for the president as a man now to just appoint and say his job is done. I'm not saying that's what he's doing. When he said the presidency is not for a man, you do not give a man's job to a boy. He's saying the job is for a man who is like a father. When a father, good father, sends his child to school, when that child comes from school, he asks, how was class today? Do you have assignments? Are your assignments done? So the individuals Mr. Boakai are pointing out, the expectation from this man, this president now, is that he will be able to check on these individuals. Who is the Minister of Finance? How are we doing? What are your challenges? What do we need to do? Give me a plan to improve the collection of revenue. And when any of those appointed not performing to expectation, maybe the person is misplaced. So just as you have the courage to nominate and you expect productivity, innovation, and effectiveness and efficiency, if those things are not being done by that individual, that same coverage should motivate the president to say, you know what? You are fired. You know what? I will send you to a different place. Maybe this place not suited for you best. It's like the father send a child to school. Maybe the child is in this private school, and that child is not doing well, and he's spending too much money. He said, "No, child, what is going on here? I'm taking you from that private school. That school is so expensive. You're not performing to expectation. I'm not going to abandon you because I'm a father. I'm here to help you succeed. So I'm sending you to a government school. Maybe that will give you another perspective." So we expect so much from Mr. Boakai, from our president. We expect the things that were promised: competence, accountability, experience, audit, investigations. We expect these things. We expect good governance. We expect the rule of law. We expect accountability. These are the things we were promised, and we are hoping and believing that the new administration, having promised that they are all about competence and governance and transparency and audit, we will see these things. Because those things are important and we agree. Those things will move our country forward. Those things will improve the effectiveness of governance. Of governance. It is not enough to only appoint. It's not enough to only make pronouncement. You should go beyond those words and do the work. And one of the things Mr. Boakai said that I remember is that he argued that in the Unity Party administration, they were all about PowerPoint presentation. They were not about implementation. Mr. Boakai could not be wrong. He was right. Our problem, or one of our major problems, is the fact that we don't implement things that we agree on. We pass a law, the laws are not implemented. You hear the saying, the laws are on the books, the laws are on the board. We're not implementing the laws. And when the individuals who's supposed to implement the laws don't implement the laws, we do not hold them accountable. A police officer is supposed to protect life and property. The very police officer now is conniving with drug dealers and transporting drugs in the country. Now you see that the entire nation is infested with drugs, and our children are hooked on drugs. That police officer should be fired for facilitating and transporting the spread of narcotics in our country. That police officer has betrayed public trust. He should be fired. No other way. That's what we want to see in Liberia. That would get us to a good place. We have set an example by going through the transition, but like many people said, the inauguration, the entire program was a shame, was an embarrassment. Can you imagine that we had even microphone that would not even cost $60 United States, could not function, was not working well? Where the experience? Where was the experience? Microphone can work. We have foreign dignitaries, people from China, people from America, other African countries. They came to our inauguration. It was a national embarrassment and shame. The people were sweating outside there. Some of them, I heard someone saying there was not even water provided for the guests on the platform. They were fending themselves. Where the experience? We didn't see the experience being put into action. And so, folks, we can't thank you enough for staying with us here at Focus on Liberia. We continue to encourage you to share our show. We are on YouTube. We are on Facebook. Facebook is the one that have been, suppressing our views for far too long now. We want you to continue to share our show. Those of you watching on YouTube, continue to share our shows as well. We will appreciate that. Liberia is for all of us. If we must succeed as a people, our government must succeed. Our governments must be held accountable. Our leaders must be held accountable. Our leaders must do the right thing. Those who are given the opportunity to serve in government should not abuse those opportunities given by them by the president. Those individuals should know that they do have a responsibility to not only reciprocate the favor and the preferment being given to them by the president, but that they will be able to serve their fellow citizens honorably so that this nation can make progress. That is what we expect and nothing less. For those were the things we promised. We hold the Unity Party government will continue forming a government, and that it will hit the ground running right away. And it should not forget that it's on a rescue operation. Liberia as a country is in distress economically, politically. Any kind of way we are in distress. Education, we are in distress. Healthcare, we are in distress. So let this government be reminded that it is on a rescue operation. You don't come rescue people. You arrive at the rescue site, and that is when you are trying to say, okay, what do I do? What do I need? No, you should be ready to carry on the rescue operation. On that note, folks, in cyberspace, we want to say a big thank you for staying with us throughout this broadcast. This is how we will come to the end of this yet another edition of the Hour of Politics here at Focus on Liberia with me, Anthony C. We brought you an analysis on the topic, the beginning of the Boakai administration. Thank you. We will see you soon. Enjoy the song that says, we are all Liberians, and indeed we are. Thank you for watching. We love you all here, and bye-bye.
We are